Captain Jake Sullivan sat in his command chair aboard the ESV Guardian. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Outside the windows, stars sparkled like diamonds against the black of space. "Captain, we're getting a strange signal," said Lieutenant Amy Richardson from her station. She was the ship's best pilot and communication officer. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. Jake turned to look at her. "What kind of signal?" "It's coming from the outer rim, beyond the Council's monitored zones." Amy frowned at her screen. "Sir, this doesn't match any known alien technology. The signal pattern, it looks human. That was impossible. Humans had only been traveling through space for 50 years. They had never gone beyond the areas controlled by the Galactic Council. The Council made sure of that. Dr. Lisa Martinez looked up from her research station. She was a smart woman who studied alien artifacts and ancient civilizations. "Captain, may I see the signal?" Jake nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The front screen lit up with numbers and symbols. Most of it looked like gibberish, but hidden inside were coordinates. Coordinates that pointed to a location far from any known human colony. "This is incredible," Lisa said, her eyes wide with excitement. "The mathematical structure is definitely human, but the encoding method is far more advanced than anything we use today." Commander Steve Adams, Jake's tactical officer, crossed his arms. "Could be a trap. The Council species are clever. They might be trying to lure us into their territory." Jake thought about this. The Galactic Council controlled most of known space. They allowed humans to have a few colonies, but always watched them closely. Humans were considered a young and weak species by the galaxy's standards. "Amy, how far is this location?" Jake asked. "About 2 weeks' travel at maximum speed, sir. It's in completely empty space. No planets, no stations, nothing." Dr. Martinez stepped forward. "Captain, we have to investigate this. If there's even a chance that other humans are out there, or were out there in the past, we need to know." Jake made his decision. "Set course for Earth. We need to report this to Admiral Harrison first." The journey back to Earth took 3 days. Jake spent most of that time thinking about the signal. How could it be human? Humans had barely left their solar system when they met the Galactic Council. The Council had given them space travel technology and welcomed them as junior members. At Earth's orbital station, Jake met with Admiral Pete Harrison. The Admiral was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had been fighting for human rights in the galaxy for decades. "Show me this signal," the Admiral said. Jake and Lisa presented their findings. The Admiral listened carefully, asking questions about the signal's origin and meaning. "The coordinates point to a location that's not on any Council star maps," Lisa explained. "It's in what they call dead space, areas they claim have nothing of value." Admiral Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. "Captain Sullivan, I'm giving you permission to investigate. But this mission is classified. The Council cannot know about this." "Sir, why the secrecy?" Jake asked. "Because," the Admiral said grimly, "if the Council discovers that humans might have been in space longer than they told us, it could change everything. Take Dr. Martinez and your best crew. Find out what's sending that signal." 2 days later, the ESV Guardian left Earth's solar system. The crew was small but skilled. Besides Jake, Amy, Lisa, and Steve, there was Chief Engineer Ben Carter and Dr. Kate Morgan, the ship's medical officer. The journey took exactly 2 weeks. As they traveled further from known space, the crew grew more nervous. They were going where no human ship had gone before. "Approaching the coordinates now, Captain," Amy reported. "I'm not seeing anything on sensors." "Keep scanning," Jake ordered. "The signal came from here." For hours, they searched the empty space. There were no planets, no asteroids, nothing but darkness and distant stars. Then Ben Carter made a discovery. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. There's a gravity field here, but I can't see what's causing it." Lisa worked with the ship's computers. "I think there's something here that's hiding itself. Some kind of advanced camouflage technology." Jake felt his heart beating faster. "Can we break through it?" "Maybe," Ben said. "If I adjust our sensors to look for gravitational distortions." The main screen flickered, slowly like a ghost becoming. Solid, a massive shape appeared in front of them. The crew stared in shock. Floating in space was a warship unlike anything they had ever seen. It was enormous, at least 5 times larger than their own ship. Its design was sleek and deadly, with weapons that looked far more advanced than anything the Council used. But the most shocking thing was the markings on its hull. They were human letters and numbers written in English. "ESV Destroyer," Amy read aloud. That's a human ship." Dr. Martinez was already scanning the vessel. "The metal composition matches human industrial standards, but the design—" "Jake, this ship is old, very old. The materials show signs of being in space for thousands of years." Jake's mind raced. Thousands of years? Humans had only been in space for 50 years. How is this possible? Life signs? He asked. Kate checked her medical scanners. None. The ship appears to be completely dead. Steve was studying the weapons systems. "Captain, the armament on that thing? It's beyond anything I've ever seen. Those aren't just weapons. I don't even know what to call them." Jake made another decision that would change everything. Prepare a boarding party. We're going aboard. An hour later, Jake, Lisa, Ben, and Kate stood in the docking bay of the ancient human warship. Their suits' lights cut through the darkness as they moved through corridors that had been empty for millennia. The ship's design was clearly human, but far more advanced than anything from Earth. The walls were covered with writing in several human languages, including some that looked very old. "The technology here is incredible," Ben whispered as they walked. "The power systems, the hull materials, everything is centuries ahead of what we have now." They reached what appeared to be the bridge. Lisa found a control panel and carefully tried to activate it. Nothing happened at first. Then suddenly, the entire ship came to life. Lights turned on throughout the vessel. Computer screens flickered and displayed information in dozens of human languages. And then, a voice spoke from the ship's communication system. "Welcome aboard the ESV Destroyer," the voice said in perfect English. "I am Oracle, the ship's artificial intelligence. I have been waiting for humans to return for 3,412 years." The boarding party stood frozen in shock. Jake was the first to find his voice. Oracle ... "How long have you been here?" "I have been guarding this vessel since the final battle of the Great War," Oracle replied. "A war that nearly destroyed humanity. A war that your species has forgotten, but which the galaxy remembers very well." Jake stared at the glowing screens around him. The ship's artificial intelligence, Oracle, had been waiting for over 3,000 years. The thought made his head spin. "Oracle, what great war are you talking about?" Dr. Lisa Martinez asked. She pulled out her recording device to capture everything. "The war between humanity and the Galactic Alliance," Oracle replied. The ship's holographic display activated, showing images of space battles. "Your ancestors were the most advanced species in the galaxy. They had technology that could bend reality itself." The images showed human ships fighting against alien vessels. But these weren't the small human ships that Jake knew. These were massive warships with weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. "That's impossible," Ben Carter said. "Humans only learned to travel in space 50 years ago. The Council taught us everything." Oracle's voice carried what sounded like sadness. The Council has lied to you. They have hidden your true history. Humanity once ruled half the galaxy. You were feared and respected by every alien species. Lisa was studying the historical data that appeared on the screens. Oracle, why did this war happen? Because the alien species discovered humanity's potential, Oracle explained. They learned that humans were evolving faster than any other race. In time, humans would surpass them all. So they formed a secret alliance to destroy humanity before that could happen. More images appeared. They showed human colonies burning, families running for their lives, and great human cities being destroyed from space. Jake felt sick to his stomach. They committed genocide? They tried to, Oracle said. But some humans escaped. They hid in the far reaches of space and continued to develop their technology. This ship, the Destroyer, was built during the final years of the war. Ben was examining the ship's systems with his engineering tools. Captain, the technology here is incredible. The power source alone could run a small city for centuries. And these weapons. He shook his head. I've never seen anything like them. Dr. Kate Morgan had been quiet, but now she spoke up. Oracle, what happened to the humans who built this ship? They sacrificed themselves in the final battle, Oracle said. They knew they could not win against the entire galaxy. So they chose to hide their technology and their knowledge, hoping that someday their descendants would find it. The ship's computers began displaying technical information. Jake saw designs for weapons that could destroy entire fleets, shields that could protect against any attack, and engines that could travel faster than anything in the known galaxy. Why are you showing us this? Jake asked. Because history is repeating itself, Oracle replied. The Galactic Council is the same alliance that tried to destroy humanity before. They still fear you. They still watch you. And when they discover your true potential, they will try to finish what they started. Lisa was recording everything. Oracle, do other ships like this exist? Yes. Hidden throughout the galaxy are dozens of human ships and bases. Each one contains technology that could change the balance of power. But they will only activate for true humans who prove themselves worthy. Amy Richardson's voice came through their communication devices. She was still on the Guardian, monitoring their mission. Captain, I'm detecting some unusual readings from the Destroyer. It's like the ship is scanning me. Oracle responded to Amy directly. Pilot Richardson, please approach the docking bay. I need to test your compatibility with our systems. Jake didn't like the sound of that. What kind of compatibility? Ancient humans modified themselves to interface directly with their technology, Oracle explained. The genetic modifications are dormant in modern humans, but they can be awakened. Some humans are more compatible than others. Against Jake's better judgment, Amy joined them on the Destroyer. When she stepped onto the bridge, the ship's systems began to react. Lights grew brighter, and computer screens displayed new information. Remarkable, Oracle said. Pilot Richardson has strong compatibility. With her help, I can bring all of the ship's systems online. Amy looked nervous. What does that mean exactly? It means you can control the ship with your thoughts, Oracle explained. You can access its full power. But there is a risk. The neural connection changes you. Makes you more than human, but also less human in some ways. Ben was studying the technical readouts. Captain, if what Oracle is saying is true, this ship could take on the entire Galactic Council fleet and win. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Oracle, why should we trust you? How do we know this isn't some kind of trap? Because, Oracle said, your species is already in danger. The Council's monitoring stations have detected this ship's activation. Even now, they are sending ships to investigate. As if to prove Oracle's point, Amy's communication device crackled to life. Captain Sullivan, this is the Guardian. I'm detecting multiple ships approaching our position. They're flying Council flags. Jake's heart raced. They were trapped in the middle of nowhere with alien warships approaching. How long until they arrive? He asked. 6 hours, sir, Amy reported from the Guardian. Oracle's voice became urgent. Captain Sullivan, you must make a choice. You can try to run in your small ship and hope the Council believes your story. Or you can use the destroyer to defend yourselves. But using this ship would prove everything you've told us, Lisa said. It would confirm that humans have advanced technology. Yes, Oracle agreed. And it would start the war all over again. But this time, humanity has a chance to win. Jake looked around at his crew. Ben was fascinated by the technology. Lisa was excited by the historical discovery. Kate looked worried about the consequences. And Amy? Amy was staring at a neural interface port with a mixture of fear and curiosity. What are our options? Jake asked. Oracle displayed tactical information. The approaching fleet consists of 12 Council warships. Your Guardian cannot outrun them or outfight them, but the destroyer can defeat them easily. And if we do that, then the galaxy will know that humanity has returned to its full power. The Council will declare you a threat. Other species will choose sides. The war will begin again. Jake closed his eyes and thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who had no idea their ancestors were once the most powerful species in the galaxy, about the peaceful life humanity had built under the Council's protection. But it wasn't really protection, was it? It was control. The Council had been keeping humanity weak and dependent. Amy, Jake said finally, can you interface with the ship's systems safely? Amy nodded slowly. Oracle says the risk is minimal for a short connection. I can bring the weapons online without a permanent neural link. Sir, Steve Adams' voice came through their communicators. The Council ships are moving faster than expected. 4 hours until they arrive. Jake made his decision. Amy, connect with the ship. Lisa, download everything you can from Oracle's database. Ben, figure out how to transfer some of this technology to the Guardian. Kate, monitor Amy's vital signs during the interface. And what are you going to do, Captain? Ben asked. Jake looked out at the stars through the ancient bridge's windows. Somewhere out there, Council warships were racing toward them, ready to destroy them to keep humanity's secrets buried. I'm going to contact Admiral Harrison, Jake said. Humanity needs to know the truth about its history, and we need to prepare for war. Amy approached the neural interface port. It looked like a helmet made of metal and crystal. Oracle, what will I experience? You will become one with the ship, Oracle said. You will feel its power, understand its capabilities, and control its weapons. But Amy, once you make this connection, you will never be quite the same. Amy picked up the neural helmet. Captain, are you sure about this? Jake nodded grimly. Do it. It's time humanity remembered who we really are. As Amy placed the helmet on her head, the entire ship came alive. Power flowed through systems that had been dormant for millennia. Weapons that could reshape reality itself began to charge. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Council warships continued their approach, unaware that they were about to face the most dangerous human weapon ever created. Amy's eyes rolled back as the neural helmet connected to her brain. For a moment, Jake thought something had gone wrong. Then her eyes opened, and they were glowing with a soft blue light. I can feel everything, Amy whispered. Her voice sounded different, like it was coming from far away. The ship, the stars, the approaching Council fleet. Captain, this ship is alive. Jake watched the main display as systems throughout the destroyer came online. Weapons that had been dormant for thousands of years began to charge with deadly energy. "Amy, are you still you?" Dr. Kate Morgan asked, checking her medical scanner. Amy turned to look at her. The blue glow in her eyes was fading, but her expression was changed. "I'm still me, Kate, but I'm also more. I can see through the ship's sensors. I know exactly where the Council ships are and what weapons they carry." Oracle's voice filled the bridge. "The neural connection is stable. Pilot Richardson now has access to all ship functions. Captain Sullivan, a Council fleet will arrive in 2 hours." Jake opened his communication channel to the Guardian. "Steve, transfer our essential data to the Guardian and prepare to undock. If this goes wrong, someone needs to get back to Earth with the truth." "Sir, I'm not leaving you here," Commander Adams replied. "That's an order," Jake said firmly. "Undock now and maintain a safe distance." Through the ship's new sensors, Amy could see everything happening around them. "The Guardian is clear, Captain." "And Jake, the Council ships aren't alone. There's something else out there. Something big." A main screen showed 12 Council warships approaching in battle formation. But behind them, partially hidden in the shadow of a distant asteroid, was a massive vessel that looked like a floating city. "Oracle, what is that large ship?" Lisa asked. "A Council judgment vessel," Oracle replied grimly. "They only bring those when they intend to completely destroy something. Captain, they're not here to capture you. They're here to eliminate all evidence that advanced human technology exists." Jake felt his blood turn cold. The Council wasn't just trying to stop them from spreading the truth. It wanted to erase them completely. "Amy, what are our capabilities?" he asked. Amy's hands moved over the control panels, her movements guided by the ship's systems. "Captain, this ship has weapons that can bend space and time. It has shields that exist in multiple dimensions. And it has engines that can move us anywhere in the galaxy instantly. But using any of those abilities will prove that humans have technology beyond anything the Council knows about," Lisa said. Jake nodded. "Which means we'll start a war." "Sir," Amy said, her voice still carrying that strange distant quality, "the war never ended. The Council has been fighting it for 3,000 years by keeping humanity weak and ignorant. They've just been winning so completely that we didn't know we were at war." The approaching Council ships began to spread out in an attack formation. Jake could see them clearly now on the main display. They were sleek, deadly vessels armed with plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes. A communication signal came from the lead Council ship. Jake accepted it, and the screen filled with the image of an alien commander. The creature had blue skin, 4 arms, and cold, calculating eyes. "Human vessel," the alien said in accented English. "You are in violation of galactic law. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. We're conducting a legal salvage operation in unclaimed space." The alien commander's expression didn't change. "There is no legal salvage. Here, the vessel you have boarded is forbidden technology. You will surrender it to the Council immediately." "And if we refuse?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then you will be destroyed to protect galactic security." The communication ended. Jake turned to his crew. "Well, there it is. They're not even pretending this is about law anymore." Ben Carter was studying the tactical displays. "Captain, our shields are already stronger than anything those ships can throw at us, and our weapons. One shot from our main guns could destroy their entire fleet. But the moment we fire, every species in the galaxy will know that humans have weapons that can challenge the Council," Lisa said. Amy's glowing eyes focused on Jake. "Captain, Oracle is showing me something. The Council has been planning this for decades. They have a list of human colonies they plan to destroy once they eliminate the advanced technology. They call it Final Solution Protocol." Jake's hands clenched into fists. They're planning genocide. Again. The first council ships are charging. Their weapons, Amy reported. Impact in 30 seconds. Jake had to make a choice that would affect the entire human race. Let the council destroy them and keep humanity ignorant and weak, or fight back and start a war that could consume the galaxy. Amy, can you disable their ships without destroying them? Amy's fingers danced over the controls. Yes, Captain. The destroyer has precision weapons that can target their power systems. Do it. The destroyer's weapons fired for the first time in 3,000 years. But instead of the massive explosions Jake expected, thin beams of blue energy reached out and touched each council ship. The alien vessels immediately went dark, their engines shutting down and their weapons powering off. What did you do? Jake asked. I disrupted their quantum power cores, Amy explained. They're not destroyed, just disabled. They'll drift in space until someone rescues them. But Jake's relief was short-lived. The massive judgment vessel emerged from behind the asteroid, its weapons charging with enough power to destroy a small moon. That ship is different, Oracle warned. It has reality-warping defenses. It won't be disabled as easily. The judgment vessel fired. A beam of white energy struck the destroyer's shields, and the entire ship shook. But the shields held. Their weapon is designed to erase matter at the quantum level, Amy said, her voice now completely calm despite the attack. But our shields exist in multiple dimensions. They can't destroy what they can't fully target. Jake watched as the alien ship prepared to fire again. Amy, if we have to destroy that ship to survive, will you do it? Amy was quiet for a moment. Through the neural link, she could feel the thousands of alien crew members on the Judgment vessel. They were following orders, believing they were protecting the galaxy from a human threat. Captain, she said finally, I don't want to kill them, but they're not going to stop. And if we don't stop them, they'll return to Earth with a full invasion fleet. The Judgment vessel fired again. This time, multiple beams struck the destroyer from different angles. The ship shook more violently, and warning lights began flashing on the bridge. Shields at 90%, Amy reported. But Captain, I'm detecting something else. They're not just trying to destroy us. They're scanning us, learning about our technology. Oracle's voice carried a note of alarm. If they learn how human technology works, they'll develop countermeasures. They'll use that knowledge to destroy any other hidden human technology they find. Jake realized the true scope of the threat. It wasn't just about this battle. If the Council learned the secrets of human technology, they could hunt down every hidden human base and ship. They could complete the genocide they'd started 3,000 years ago. Amy, use whatever weapons you need to. Stop them from learning our secrets. Amy's hands moved over the controls with inhuman speed, charging the reality cannon. Captain, this weapon doesn't just destroy matter. It rewrites the fundamental laws of physics in a localized area. Once I fire it, there's no hiding what we are anymore. The Judgment vessel fired a third time, and Jake felt the destroyer shake under the impact. Sparks flew from control panels, and the lights flickered. Shields at 70%, Amy reported. Their weapons are adapting to our defenses. Jake made his final decision. Fire the reality cannon. Amy's eyes blazed with blue light as she activated the destroyer's most powerful weapon. A sphere of pure energy formed in front of the ship, then expanded outward at incredible speed. When it reached the Judgment vessel, the massive alien ship simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, but erased from reality as if it had never been there at all. The disabled Council ships detected the energy signature and began transmitting emergency signals throughout the galaxy. Within minutes, Every major civilization would know that humanity possessed reality-warping weapons. "It's done," Amy said, her voice returning to normal as she disconnected from the ship's systems. "The galaxy knows we're back." Jake slumped in. The captain's chair. "Oracle, what happens now?" "Now, Captain Sullivan, the second war for humanity's survival begins. But this time, humanity has a chance to win." In the distance, Jake could see the lights of Council emergency ships approaching to rescue the disabled vessels. Soon, they would carry the news of humanity's return to every corner of the galaxy. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human power had begun. 3 weeks after the battle with the Council fleet, the galaxy was in chaos. The news of humanity's return had spread to every civilized world. Some species called for immediate war against humans. Others quietly began reaching out to human colonies, offering secret alliances. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the destroyer, watching reports from across known space. The ship had become the center of a growing rebellion against the Galactic Council. "Captain, we're receiving another transmission from Earth," Amy Richardson said. She was back to normal now, though her eyes still held a distant look from her. Connection with the ship's systems. Admiral Harrison's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Jake could see the busy command center of Earth's defense headquarters. "Jake, the situation here is getting worse," the Admiral said. "The Council has demanded that we turn over the destroyer and everyone who's been aboard it. They're threatening to place Earth under blockade if we refuse." Jake wasn't surprised. "What's our response?" "Officially, we're still trying to negotiate. Unofficially, we're preparing for war." The Admiral's expression was grim. "Jake, we need that ship. Without it, humanity doesn't stand a chance against the full Council fleet." Dr. Lisa Martinez looked up from her research station. "Admiral, we've discovered something important. Oracle has been in contact with other hidden human facilities. There are dozens of them scattered throughout the galaxy." "What kind of facilities?" The Admiral asked. Lisa activated a holographic map showing the galaxy. Red dots appeared in dozens of locations. Weapon caches, automated shipyards, research stations. The ancient humans prepared for this day. They left behind everything we need to fight back. Oracle's voice joined the conversation. "Admiral Harrison, the facilities will only activate for humans who prove themselves worthy. Captain Sullivan and his crew have done so by awakening the destroyer. Now other sites are coming online." Amy pulled up tactical displays. "Sir, we're not just talking about weapons. Some of these facilities can build entire fleets of ships, like the destroyer. Others contain research that could advance human technology by centuries." The Admiral was quiet for a moment, processing this information. "How long would it take to activate these facilities?" "That depends on how quickly we can reach them," Jake said. "But Admiral, we need to be careful. Every facility we activate will attract Council attention. They'll try to destroy them before we can use them. Then we need to move fast," the Admiral decided. "Jake, I'm putting you in command of the Liberation mission. Your job is to activate as many facilities as possible while we prepare Earth's defenses." Ben Carter had been studying the engineering data from Oracle. "Captain, there's something else you should know. The ancient humans didn't just build weapons. They also created something called the network." "What's the network?" Jake asked. Oracle answered. "The network is a galaxy-wide communication and coordination system. It connects all human facilities and can even reach individual humans who carry the right genetic markers. Once fully activated, it will allow humanity to coordinate as a single force across the entire galaxy." Dr. Kate Morgan looked concerned. "What about the risks?" "Connecting every human to a single network sounds dangerous." "The network is voluntary," Oracle explained. "It enhances human capabilities, but doesn't control them. Think of it as giving every human access to the combined knowledge and skills of the entire species. A new alarm sounded on the bridge. Amy quickly checked her sensors. "Captain, we have company. Multiple council fleets are converging on our position." The main screen showed dozens of alien ships approaching from several directions. This wasn't like the small fleet they'd faced before. This was a full invasion force. "How many ships?" Jake asked. "Over 200, Amy replied. "They're not taking any chances this time." Oracle provided tactical analysis. "Captain, even the destroyer cannot fight that many ships alone. We need to retreat and begin activating the other facilities." Jake made a quick decision. "Amy, can you plot a course to the nearest human facility?" "Already done," Amy said. "It's a shipyard facility 3 light years from here. But Captain, the Council fleet will follow us." "That's what I'm counting on," Jake said with a grim smile. "If we can reach the shipyard and activate it, we might be able to level the odds." The destroyer's engines powered up, and the ship disappeared in a flash of blue light. The ancient human faster-than-light technology was far superior to anything the Council used. By the time the alien ships reached the destroyer's last position, it was already gone. The human shipyard was hidden inside a hollow asteroid. From the outside, it looked like any other piece of space rock. But when the destroyer approached, the asteroid split open like a flower, revealing a massive construction facility inside. "Incredible," Ben breathed. "This place could build 100 ships like the destroyer." Oracle began activating the shipyard systems. The facility has been running on automatic maintenance for 3,000 years. It will take 6 hours to bring all systems online. "We don't have 6 hours," Amy said, checking her sensors. "The Council fleet is only 2 hours behind us." Jake thought quickly. "Oracle, how many ships can this facility produce in 2 hours? With current resources, perhaps 20 small fighters." "But Captain, there is another option. This facility also houses a completed battleship that was never deployed." The asteroid's interior lit up, revealing a ship that dwarfed even the destroyer. It was sleek and deadly, with weapons that looked like they could crack planets. "The HFY Annihilator," Oracle said. "The most powerful warship ever built by humanity." It was completed just as the ancient war ended. Jake stared at the massive ship. "Can we crew it?" "The ship is fully automated, but it works best with a human commander connected to its systems," Oracle explained. "However, the neural connection required is much deeper than what Pilot Richardson experienced. It would be permanent." Amy stepped forward. "I'll do it." "Amy, no," Jake said immediately. "We don't know what that would do to you." "Captain, we don't have a choice," Amy replied. "That Council fleet will destroy this facility and everything in it. Someone has to make the sacrifice." Dr. Morgan ran her medical scanners over the Annihilator's neural interface systems. "Jake, the connection would fundamentally change Amy's brain structure. She might not be human anymore when it's done." Amy looked at her friends and crewmates. "I'll still be me. Just ... more. And right now, humanity needs more." The Council fleet was getting closer. Jake could see their ships on the long-range sensors, racing toward the hidden shipyard. "There has to be another way," Jake said desperately. Oracle provided an alternative. "Captain Sullivan, you could connect with the Annihilator yourself. Your leadership abilities combined with the ship's power could be even more effective." "No," Amy said firmly. "Jake, humanity needs you to remain human, to lead people, not machines. This is my choice." Before Jake could stop her, Amy ran toward the Annihilator. The massive ship's docking bay opened, and she disappeared inside. Minutes later, the Annihilator began to move. Its engines created a light show that filled the entire asteroid. The ship emerged from the facility like a sleeping giant awakening. Amy's voice came through the communication system, but it sounded different now. More powerful, more distant. "Captain, I can feel the Council ships approaching. 237 vessels, including 5 judgment ships. Amy, are you still you?" Jake asked. There was a pause. Then Amy's laugh came through the speakers. And for a moment, she sounded like her old self. "I'm still me, Jake, but now I'm also the most dangerous ship in the galaxy." The Council fleet arrived just as the Annihilator cleared the asteroid field. The alien commanders probably expected to find the destroyer hiding behind a rock. Instead, they found themselves facing a ship that looked like it had been built by gods. The battle that followed would be remembered throughout galactic history. The Annihilator moved through the Council fleet like a knife through paper. Its weapons didn't just destroy ships, they erased them from existence. Its shields didn't just deflect attacks, they sent them back at the attacker's dot in less than an hour. The entire Council fleet was gone. 237 of the galaxy's most advanced warships, including 5 planet killers, had been defeated by a single human vessel dot as the last enemy ship was destroyed. Amy's voice filled the communication channels throughout the galaxy. Every species, every planet, every space station heard her message. "This is Amy Richardson of the human warship Annihilator. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council has lied to you about humanity. They have told you that we are weak, primitive, and need their protection. Today, that lie ends." Images from the battle were broadcast across the galaxy. Alien leaders watched in horror as their most powerful fleet was destroyed by technology they couldn't understand. Amy's broadcast continued. "Humanity offers peace to all species who wish it, but to those who threaten human worlds or try to continue the genocide that began 3,000 years ago, know this: we remember everything. We have returned, and we will not be victims again." The message ended, but its impact was immediate. Across the galaxy, species that had been oppressed by the Council began to revolt. The Zelani, who had been forced into slavery, declared their independence. The Corvash, whose worlds had been strip-mined for conch. 70 hours after Amy's broadcast, the largest fleet in galactic history approached the Nexus system. But it wasn't the Council fleet that everyone expected. It was humanity's fleet, supported by dozens of alien species that had joined the rebellion. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the destroyer, watching the tactical display. Around his ship flew 43 other vessels that had emerged from hidden human facilities across the galaxy. Each ship was a masterpiece of ancient human engineering, armed with weapons that could reshape reality itself. "Final count, Amy?" Jake asked, speaking to the Annihilator through the network connection. Amy's voice came back, still carrying that strange mix of human warmth and machine precision. 312 ships in our fleet, Jake. 51 are human vessels. The rest are our new allies. The Zelani had brought their stealth ships, invisible to most sensors. The Corvash contributed their massive cargo vessels, converted into mobile weapons platforms. The Threnody offered their medical ships, essential for treating wounded from dozens of different species. Dr. Lisa Martinez was coordinating the intelligence reports from their alien allies. "The Nexus system defenses are incredible," she reported. 5,000 Council ships, plus orbital defense platforms around every planet. Ben Carter studied the engineering data. "But Captain, their weapons are all based on technology that's thousands of years behind ours. They might have more ships, but each of our vessels is worth 100 of theirs." Dr. Kate Morgan was monitoring the network connections throughout. "The human fleet, the evolutionary changes are accelerating. Human crews are interfacing with their ships better than we thought possible. Some of them don't even need neural helmets anymore." Jake nodded. Over the past 3 days, he had felt the changes in himself too. His thinking was faster, clearer. He could process tactical information that would have overwhelmed him before. A network was making every human more than they had been. Oracle, status report on the Galaxy Cleanser? The weapon is at 95% charge, Oracle replied. From multiple ships simultaneously. If it fires, Earth's sun will go supernova within hours. Jake opened a channel to Admiral Harrison on Earth. The Admiral's image appeared, but he looked different now. His eyes held the same enhanced awareness that Jake was feeling. Admiral, how are the evacuations going? We've moved 3 billion people to the outer colonies, Harrison replied. But Jake, we can't save everyone. If that weapon fires? It won't, Jake said with certainty he didn't entirely feel. We're going to stop it. The human fleet dropped out of faster than light. Travel at the edge of the Nexus system. Immediately, alarms began sounding on council ships throughout the system. Chancellor Vexstar of the Krillian Empire appeared on communication screens throughout the human fleet. His 4 arms gestured angrily as he spoke. Human fleet, you are trespassing in council space. Retreat immediately or face destruction. Jake opened a return channel. Chancellor, we're here to stop you from committing genocide. Shut down the Galaxy Cleanser, and we can talk about peace. Vexstar's laugh was cold and cruel. There will be no peace with humans. Your species is a cancer that must be cut out before it spreads. The Galaxy Cleanser will fire in 2 hours. Use that time to say goodbye to your world. The communication ended. Jake turned to his crew. Well, diplomacy is over. Amy, begin the attack. What followed was unlike any battle in galactic history. The human ships moved through space like living things, their reality warping drives allowing them to appear and disappear at will. Their weapons didn't just destroy enemy vessels. They erased them from existence or sent them backwards in time. The Annihilator led the charge. Amy's consciousness distributed throughout its systems. She fought with the precision of a computer and the creativity of a human artist. Council ships tried to surround her, only to find themselves fighting empty space as she phased into other dimensions. Jake, I'm reading massive power buildup from the Galaxy Cleanser, she reported during the battle. They're accelerating the firing sequence. Jake made a desperate decision. All ships, concentrate on the weapon platform. Ignore everything else. A human fleet changed course, racing toward the massive space station where the Galaxy Cleanser was housed. Council ships tried to intercept them, but the ancient human technology was too advanced. Ships phased through solid matter, traveled through folded space, and struck with weapons that Council shields couldn't stop. But as they approached the weapon platform, Jake realized the true scope of the trap. The Galaxy Cleanser wasn't just aimed at Earth. It was aimed at every human colony in known space. They're going to destroy all of us at once, Lisa said in horror. Oracle's voice carried a note of urgency. Captain, the weapon is designed to create a cascade effect. Each destroyed star will destabilize neighboring systems. They're planning to eliminate not just humanity, but any species that might carry human genetic material. Jake felt the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders. How do we stop it? Amy's voice came through the network, speaking directly into his mind. Jake, I can stop it, but I'll have to interface directly with the weapon's core systems. The energy feedback will destroy my consciousness. No, Jake said immediately. There has to be another way. There is, Oracle said quietly. The network can be used to distribute the feedback across all human ships. Instead of one person dying, everyone would share the burden. But the neural strain might change humanity forever. Dr. Morgan looked up from her medical scanners. Change us how? The feedback would accelerate the evolutionary process. Every human connected to the network would become something new, more intelligent, more capable, but also less traditionally human. Jake looked around at his crew. Lisa was analyzing data faster than any computer. Ben was interfacing with ship systems using only his thoughts. Kate was monitoring biological processes across dozens of species simultaneously. "We're already changing," he said. "The question is whether we change on our own terms or die as we are." The galaxy cleansers charging sequence reached critical levels. In minutes, it would fire, and human civilization would end. Amy's voice filled the network connection shared by every human in the fleet. "Everyone needs to decide. We can try to evacuate and hope we're fast enough, or we can embrace what we're becoming and save the galaxy." The response was immediate. Across the fleet, human crews began connecting to the network at deeper levels. Pilots merged with their ship's systems. Engineers became one with their engines. Soldiers interfaced directly with their weapons. Jake felt the change beginning in himself. His consciousness expanded beyond his body, connecting with every human in the fleet. For a moment, he was Amy flying the Annihilator, Lisa processing intelligence data, then managing power systems across dozens of ships. "Now," Amy said through the collective consciousness, the human fleet moved as one organism. Every ship fired simultaneously at the galaxy cleanser, their combined weapons creating a beam of pure energy that pierced the weapon's defenses. Amy, supported by the consciousness of every human in the fleet, reached into the weapon's core systems and began the shutdown sequence. The feedback was enormous. Energy that could have destroyed solar systems flowed back through the network. But instead of killing anyone, it transformed them. Human DNA rewrote itself in real time. Brains developed new structures. Bodies adapted to survive in environments that would have been deadly before. When the light faded, the galaxy cleanser was a lifeless hulk. The Council fleet, seeing their ultimate weapon destroyed, began to retreat. But they were no longer facing the same humans who had entered the system. Jake opened his eyes and found that he could see across multiple dimensions. His thoughts moved at the speed of light through the network. He was still human, but he was also something more. "Status report," he said, and the words carried across the entire fleet instantly. "Galaxy cleanser destroyed," Amy reported. "Council, fleet retreating. Human casualties ... 0. Jake realized what that meant. No human had died, but in a sense, old humanity had ended. What they had become was something new. Over the following months, the transformation spread to every human in the galaxy. The network connected them all, sharing knowledge, abilities, and experiences. Children were born with capabilities that would have seemed impossible before. Scientists made discoveries that advanced human technology by centuries and weeks. Galactic Council tried to resist, but they were fighting an enemy that could think faster, move through dimensions, and coordinate across vast distances instantly. One by one, Council species either surrendered or asked to join the new galactic order. Jake, now Admiral of the Free Galaxy Alliance, stood on the bridge of the destroyer, watching the construction of New Geneva, a space station that would serve as the capital of a truly free galaxy. Around him, humans and aliens worked together as equals for the first time in thousands of years. Amy's consciousness had evolved beyond the need for a physical body. She existed throughout the network now, helping to coordinate the vast project of rebuilding galactic civilization. But she still spoke to Jake in the voice he remembered. "Do you regret it?" she asked him one day as they watched a Krillian delegation arrive to negotiate peace terms. Jake thought about the question. Humanity had gained incredible power, but they had also lost Summit.
Krellvorn stared at the flashing red lights on his control panel. The small scout ship shuddered around him. The silence that followed was worse than the alarms. His engines were dead. He was alone in deep space, far beyond the reach of his people. Krellvorn moved his four-fingered hands across the controls. Nothing responded. The nebula he had been mapping had strange properties no one had warned him about. His scanners had failed to detect the unusual energy patterns until it was too late. Now, his ship drifted helplessly, caught in the nebula's gentle but inescapable pull. Scout Vessel Terrax 7 log update, he spoke to the still-functioning recorder. Day 1 of system failure. Main engines are non-responsive. Backup power cells maintaining life support, and minimal functions only. Communication array damaged beyond. Repair. Krelvorn's large, pale eyes blinked slowly as he calculated his situation. His people, the Zoraxians, were practical above all else. They would not waste resources searching for a single scout. This was accepted. This was logical. Remaining oxygen will last approximately 12 standard days, he continued. As per protocol, I will maintain observation of the nebula until resources are depleted. The ship's remaining lights cast blue-green shadows across his gray skin. The scout quarters were small, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. A single bunk, food synthesizer, and the control console were all the space allowed. Zoraxians did not require comfort for short mapping missions. Krelvorn felt no fear. Fear was inefficient. He understood his place in the greater structure of the Zoraxian Empire. Individual lives were valuable only as they served the collective. A scout lost in deep space was a minor resource reduction, nothing more. He turned to his observation equipment. If he was to die here, he would at least gather useful data until the end. The nebula swirled outside his viewport, beautiful and deadly. Purple and green gases formed patterns unlike any he had seen before. The nebula appears to contain unique energy signatures, he recorded. These energies interfered with ship systems in ways our scientists have not predicted. This information would be valuable to future scouts. Future scouts who would never receive his warning, he knew. His transmission equipment was beyond repair. For 3 days, Krelvorn maintained his logs. He slept only when necessary, ate minimal rations, and observed the nebula. He documented everything meticulously. This was his duty. On the 4th day, as he was recording observations about a particularly dense area of the nebula, his thoughts drifted to home. This was unusual. Zoraxians did not typically indulge in nostalgia. It was inefficient, yet he found himself remembering the tall crystal spires of his birth city and the organized patterns of ships moving through Zoraxian space. Personal log. Addition, he said, surprising himself. Scouts rarely made personal entries. I find myself contemplating the collective gathering halls where young Zoraxians learn their duties. I recall the efficiency of our education system. I was designated for scout duty due to my higher tolerance for isolation and strong observational skills. He paused, then added, I have served efficiently. My data has expanded the Empire's knowledge of 7 previously uncharted sectors. This is adequate accomplishment for one life. By the 6th day, Krelvorn had exhausted all possible observations of the nebula with his damaged equipment. His food supplies were calculated to last the full 12 days, but with nothing productive to do, he reduced his intake further. Resources should not be wasted, even when the only beneficiary of such savings would be a slightly prolonged death. Day 6, he recorded. I have completed all possible observations. Remaining power has been diverted to life support. I will enter low energy state to preserve oxygen. The low energy state was similar to hibernation. Zoraxians could slow their body functions when resources were scarce. Krelvorn settled onto his bunk, slowed his breathing, and prepared for the long wait until the end. On the 8th day, a soft beeping pulled him from his low energy state. One of the few functioning sensors had detected something. Krelvorn moved to the console, his movement stiff after 2 days of minimal motion. The sensor showed an approaching object. A ship. That was not possible. No Zoraxian vessels would be in this uncharted region. Unknown contact detected, he recorded, professionalism returning instantly. Size indicates a vessel larger than scout class. Configuration unknown, not Zoraxian design. Krelvorn felt something unfamiliar stir within him. Not hope. Hope was inefficient. Perhaps curiosity. If this was another spacefaring species, his last act could be first contact. That would be a significant contribution to the Empire. He diverted power from life support to the sensor array, sacrificing days of oxygen for better data. The approaching ship was unlike anything in Zoraxian records. Its design seemed almost haphazard to his eyes, with odd protrusions and asymmetrical features. Inefficient design, yet it moved with purpose. The vessel appears to have altered course, he noted with surprise. It is now moving directly toward this position. Detection equipment on the unknown vessel must be more sensitive than expected. Another thought occurred to him. Perhaps they had detected his ship and were coming to salvage it. Many species would take advantage of Zoraxian technology. He should prevent this if possible. But as the ship grew closer, something even more unexpected happened. His communication system, which had been completely dead, suddenly activated with a crackle of static. A voice came through. The language was unknown to him, but the tone seemed concerned. That made no sense. The universal translator in his ship struggled with the unfamiliar language. After several repetitions, partial translation began. Repeat, this is the USS Horizon. We have detected your vessel and signs of distress. Do you require assistance? Please respond if able. Assistance? Krellvorn blinked rapidly, his version of confusion. Why would an unknown species offer assistance to a stranded Zoraxian? There was no benefit to them. It was inefficient use of their resources. Yet the message continued, now clearer as the translator adjusted. We are prepared to render aid. Please respond with your status and any immediate needs. With hesitant movements, Krellvorn activated his response system. This is Scout Krellvorn of the Zoraxian Empire. My vessel is damaged beyond repair. Life support failing. 8 days remaining. There was a pause, then the response came quickly. Understood, Scout Krellvorn. We are approaching. Your position. We will reach you in approximately 6 hours. Please conserve your resources. We are coming to help. Krellvorn stared at the communication panel. This response defied all logic. These strangers were diverting their ship and resources to rescue a single unknown alien. As the strange ship grew closer on his sensors, Krellvorn recorded one final note before their arrival. Unknown species approaching. They claim intent to rescue this scout. Behavior is illogical. Will observe and report. Perhaps there are things the Empire does not yet understand about other ways of existing among the stars. For the first time in his life, Krellvorn felt something that might inefficiently be called hope. The USS Horizon grew larger in Krellvorn's viewport. The ship was unlike any he had ever seen. Its design seemed strange to his Zoraxian eyes, curves where there should be angles, sections that appeared decorative rather than functional. Inefficient, his training told him. Yet the vessel moved with surprising grace through the nebula's swirling gases. Krellvorn watched as the ship positioned itself alongside his small scout vessel. He recorded everything, noting the blue and white markings on the hull. Strange symbols he couldn't read decorated the side, along with the words USS Horizon in large letters. Scout Krellvorn, this is Captain Laura Mitchell of the USS Horizon. We're preparing to establish a docking connection with your vessel. Please stand by. The voice was calm and assured. Krellvorn noted that their translator was adapting quickly to his language. These beings had impressive technology. I do not understand, Krellvorn replied. Why do you assist me? We have never met. There is no advantage to you. There was a brief pause before the response came. Because you need help, Captain Mitchell said simply, as if that explained everything. We don't leave anyone stranded in space if we can help it. It doesn't matter what species you are. This concept was so foreign to Krellvorn that he struggled to process it. In Zoraxian culture, all actions were calculated for maximum efficiency and benefit to the Empire. Rescuing a single scout, especially one from another species, would never be considered a worthwhile use of resources. A gentle shudder ran through his ship as the Horizon extended a docking tube. Krellvorn gathered his data records and prepared to meet these strange beings. If he survived this encounter, the information would be valuable to the Empire. "Stand clear of your airlock," a new voice instructed. "We're cutting through. Your door mechanism appears damaged." Minutes later, there was a hiss as the seal was breached. Krellvorn stood tall, his gray skin glistening under the emergency lights. His four-fingered hands were empty, showing he was unarmed. The airlock door slid open. 3 figures stood there wearing simple uniforms. Krellvorn observed them carefully. They were bipedal, like Zoraxians, but with rounded features and varied coloring. 2 had dark fur on their heads, while 1 had lighter fur. Their skin tones ranged from pale to brown. "Hello," said the one in front, a female by Krellvorn's assessment. "I'm Captain Laura Mitchell. This is our communications specialist, Jake Harrison, and our medical officer, Samantha Wright." Krellvorn bowed slightly, the formal greeting of his people. "I am Scout Krellvorn of the 7th Exploration Division, Zoraxian Empire." The 3 humans looked at him with expressions he couldn't interpret. Were they assessing his value? Calculating his worth? But their next actions confused him further. "Are you injured?" asked the one called Samantha, stepping forward with a small device. "I'm a doctor. I'd like to check if you need medical attention." "My physical condition is adequate," Krellvorn replied. "My ship's resources were calculated to maintain my life for 4 more days. Your intervention was unnecessary, though I will record it as significant cultural data." The humans exchanged glances. "Unnecessary?" Captain Mitchell repeated. "You would have died out here." "Yes. That is the expected outcome when a scout vessel fails in uncharted territory. It is inefficient to risk multiple lives and resources to save one." Jake Harrison, the communications specialist, stepped forward. "That's not how we see things. We believe every life has value, worth saving." Krellvorn tilted his head. "Interesting philosophy. Impractical, but interesting." "Let's get you aboard our ship," Captain Mitchell said. "Your vessel's life support is failing, and this nebula has strange properties we don't fully understand yet. Our science officer is very excited to talk with you about your observations." As they guided him through the docking tube to their ship, Krellvorn continued to observe everything. The interior of the Horizon was spacious by Zoraxian standards. The corridors were well lit, with displays showing ship systems and what appeared to be decorative images. Another inefficiency. They brought him to what they called their medical bay. It was a large room filled with beds and equipment. Dr. Wright asked him to sit on one of the beds while she ran scans. "Your physiology is fascinating," she said, looking at the readings. "Oxygen-based respiration, similar to ours. But your cellular structure is quite different. Are you comfortable with our atmosphere?" "It contains sufficient oxygen," Krellvorn confirmed, "though the humidity is higher than Zoraxian standard. We can adjust the environmental controls in the guest quarters we're preparing for you, Captain," Mitchell offered. Guest quarters? Krellvorn had expected to be placed in a secure holding area, while they determined what to do with him. These humans continued to behave in unpredictable ways. A new human entered the medical bay, moving quickly. This one had dark skin and wore a different uniform with various tools attached to it. "Captain, we've completed the initial assessment of the alien vessel," the newcomer said, then noticed Krellvorn. "Oh, hello there. I'm Olivia Coleman, Chief Engineer. Your ship took quite a beating from that nebula." "Can it be repaired?" Captain Mitchell asked. Engineer Coleman shook her head. "The main power system is completely fried. The nebula's energy field overloaded it. We could salvage some parts, but the ship itself will never fly again, at least not without a complete overhaul." Krellvorn accepted this news without reaction. He had already calculated this outcome. "The vessel is not important. The data I collected is what matters." "Speaking of data," said another voice as yet. Another human entered the room. This one was male, tall and thin with light-colored fur on his face. "I'd love to compare your observations with ours. I'm Dan Morgan, science officer." Krellvorn found himself surrounded by humans, all talking, asking questions, offering assistance. It was overwhelming. In Zoraxian society, interactions were efficient and minimal. "You seem uncomfortable," Dr. Wright observed. Are you in pain? No. I am adjusting. Your species interacts differently than mine. Captain Mitchell smiled. We can give you some space if you need it. You've been through a traumatic experience. Trauma is inefficient. I do not indulge in it, Krellvorn stated. This caused several of the humans to make strange sounds. Laughter, he would later learn. Well, efficient or not, you've been rescued by humans now, Captain Mitchell said. And we have a lot of questions for each other, I think. But first, let's get you settled and fed. Do you have any dietary requirements we should know about? As they led him out of the medical bay, Krellvorn realized something unexpected. These humans were treating him not as a resource to be evaluated or a potential threat to be contained, but as a person of value. It was the most alien concept he had encountered in all his years of space exploration. More alien than the strange gases of the nebula or the unusual design of their ship. These humans valued individual life, not for its usefulness, but simply because it was life. Krellvorn added a note to his mental log. This would be the most important cultural discovery of his career, if he survived to report it to the Empire. And for the first time in his life, Krellvorn wondered if survival might bring more than just the satisfaction of duty fulfilled. After 3 Earth days aboard the USS Horizon, Krellvorn began to adapt to human customs. They had given him a private room with adjusted temperature and humidity to match Zoraxian comfort levels. The humans called these guest quarters, a concept that seemed wasteful to Krellvorn. On Zoraxian ships, temporary occupants would share basic sleeping quarters. Krellvorn sat with Science Officer Dan Morgan in what the humans called the observation lounge. Through the large windows, they could see the nebula's swirling colors and Krellvorn's damaged scout ship still attached to the horizon. Your observations of the nebula's energy patterns are remarkable, Dan said, looking at the data on his tablet. You recorded details our sensors missed entirely. Zoraxian scout vessels are designed for detailed observation, Krellvorn explained. It is our primary function. Well, your data might save our lives. The nebula's energy field is growing stronger. It's beginning to affect our systems too, Krellvorn tilted his head. Then logic dictates you should leave immediately. We can't just yet. We're still salvaging parts from your ship, and Chief Engineer Coleman thinks some of your technology might help us build a shield against the nebula's effects. The ship's intercom activated. Science Officer Morgan and our guest, please report to the bridge. When they arrived at the bridge, Krellvorn was struck again by how different it was from Zoraxian command centers. Humans seemed to prefer open spaces with multiple workstations. Captain Mitchell sat in the center, surrounded by her crew. "Ah, there you are," she said. "We have a situation developing." Engineer Coleman stood next to a large display showing both ships. The nebula's energy has increased by 200% in the last hour. It's starting to interfere with our docking mechanism. "What does that mean?" Captain Mitchell asked. "It means we can't stay connected to the scout ship much longer. If we don't detach soon, we might lose control of our systems." Alex Peterson, the security chief, stepped forward. "Captain, we still need those Zoraxian shield components. They could be crucial for our journey home through this nebula." "How long would it take to retrieve them?" the captain asked. "At least 2 hours," Engineer Coleman replied. "But with the increasing energy levels, that's risky." Captain Mitchell turned to Krellvorn. "These components, are they essential to understanding your data?" Krellvorn considered this. "They are not. The data is complete in the records I brought aboard." "Then it's not worth the risk," the captain decided. "We'll detach and—" "Captain," Engineer Coleman interrupted, looking at her readings. "The nebula just spiked again. We can't detach safely now. The energy field is too strong." The bridge grew quiet. Krellvorn observed the humans' faces, noting their concern. "Options?" Captain Mitchell asked. "We need to stabilize the connection." "First," Coleman said, "someone needs to go to the scout ship and manually adjust the docking clamps. Once that's done, we can safely separate." "I should go," Krellvorn said. "It is my vessel." Captain Mitchell shook her head. No, you're not familiar with our equipment. Besides, you're our guest. I'll go, Security Chief Peterson volunteered. I've done EVA work before. I should accompany him, Engineer Coleman added. The adjustments are tricky. And I'll need to go too, said Nathan Kelly, one of the junior engineers, to monitor the energy fluctuations. Krellvorn watched in confusion as multiple humans volunteered for a dangerous mission. In Zoraxian culture, such tasks would be assigned to whoever was most expendable. Captain Mitchell nodded. All right, Peterson, Coleman, Kelly, suit up. But I want you back at the first sign of trouble. The components are not worth your lives. As the team prepared to cross to the scout ship, Krellvorn followed them to the airlock. He watched as they put on what they called EVA suits, bulky outfits designed for spacewalks. Why do you risk yourselves? He asked. The equipment can be replaced. Peterson adjusted his helmet. It's not just about the equipment. If we don't fix this connection problem, both ships could be damaged. Everyone would be at risk. Besides, Coleman added, this is our job. We solve problems. Krellvorn watched as the three humans entered the airlock. The outer door opened and they crossed the short distance to his scout ship. On the bridge, everyone watched the team's progress on screens. Krellvorn stood behind communications, Officer Jake Harrison, who maintained contact with the team. We've reached the Zoraxian vessel, Peterson reported, beginning work on the docking clamps. For 20 minutes, the team worked efficiently. Then, without warning, the nebula flared brightly outside the viewports. Energy spike, Science Officer. Morgan called out, massive increase in the field strength. The communication crackled with static. Captain, interference can't stabilize. Get them back here now, Captain Mitchell ordered. Jake Harrison tried to re-establish clear communication. Team, return immediately. Abandon the equipment. Through the static, they heard Engineer Coleman's voice. Clamps. Stuck. Kelly is trying to... Another energy surge hit the ships. The lights on the bridge flickered. We've lost main power, someone called out. Switching to backup systems, another voice responded. When the emergency lights came on, Captain Mitchell immediately asked, status of the away team? Jake Harrison adjusted his equipment. I've got Peterson and Coleman. They're returning to the airlock, but Kelly is still on the scout ship. The docking tube has been damaged. Krellvorn stepped forward. Your crew member is trapped on my vessel? It appears so, Captain Mitchell said grimly. And the nebula's energy is still increasing. We need to get him out of there, Medical Officer Wright said. That ship's life support is barely functioning. Can we send another team? Captain Mitchell asked. Engineer Coleman's voice came through the comm system as she and Peterson returned to the bridge. Not possible, Captain. The docking tube has collapsed. We'd need to do a spacewalk, but the nebula's radiation levels are too high now. Krellvorn observed the humans' reactions. Their faces showed distress, not at the failed mission, but at the trapped crew member. How long can he survive there? Captain Mitchell asked. Maybe 6 hours, Coleman replied. Less if the life support fails completely. And how long before we can attempt a rescue? Science Officer Morgan checked his readings. The nebula's energy cycle suggests at least 8 hours before levels. Drop enough for a safe approach. The bridge fell silent. Krellvorn understood what this meant. By Zoraxian standards, the logical decision was clear. Sacrifice the one for the many. The trapped human should be abandoned, but he already knew these humans would not accept that. There must be another way, Captain Mitchell said, turning to her crew. I will not leave him behind. Krellvorn stepped forward. Captain Mitchell, I may have a suggestion. All eyes turned to him. Zoraxian scout vessels have an emergency protocol for extreme situations. It was not designed for this purpose, but it could potentially create a temporary shield against the nebula's energy. What kind of protocol? Engineer Coleman asked. It redirects all remaining power to create a narrow protection field. It would last only minutes, but it might be enough time to retrieve your crew member. That could work, Coleman said, hope in her voice. But someone would need to activate it from inside the scout ship. I will do it, Krelvorn said without hesitation. Captain Mitchell looked at him with surprise. That would put you at risk. Yes, Krelvorn agreed. But it is efficient. He paused, then added, and it is right. For the first time since his rescue, Krelvorn understood something about humans. Their concern for each other was not inefficiency, it was strength. The bridge of the USS Horizon buzzed with activity as the crew prepared for Krelvorn's risky plan. Captain Mitchell had called a brief meeting with her senior officers, while Krelvorn prepared for his return to the scout vessel. I still don't like this, Security Chief Peterson said. We're asking our guest to risk his life for one of our crew. He volunteered, Captain Mitchell reminded him, and he knows his ship's systems better than any of us. Engineer Coleman spread out diagrams of both ships on the table. We've modified one of our EVA suits to fit Krelvorn's physiology. It won't be comfortable, but it should work. Once he activates the emergency shield from inside his ship, we'll have a small window to extract Kelly. How small? Asked Dr. Wright. 3 minutes at most, Coleman replied. The scout ship's remaining power can't sustain the shield longer than that. Krelvorn entered the room wearing the modified EVA suit. The humans had added extra padding to accommodate his taller, thinner frame. His 4-fingered hands fit awkwardly in the gloves. Are you sure about this? Captain Mitchell asked him. Yes, Krelvorn said simply. Your crew member Kelly attempted to help me by repairing my ship. It is fair that I should help him. The concept of fairness was new to Krelvorn. Zoraxians thought in terms of efficiency and advantage, not fairness. Yet he found this human concept appealing in ways he couldn't fully explain. Let me talk to Kelly first, Krelvorn requested. I need to instruct him on what to do when the shield activates. Communications Officer Harrison connected him to the trapped engineer. Despite the nebula's interference, they managed to establish a shaky connection. Kelly, this is Krelvorn. I am coming to my ship to activate an emergency protocol. I hear you, came Kelly's weak response. The life support, failing faster than expected. Air's getting thin. Conserve your oxygen, Krelvorn instructed. When I activate the shield, you must move quickly to the airlock. There will be only 3 minutes before the shield fails. Understood, Kelly replied, his voice strained. But the nebula's energy, it's making me dizzy. Not sure I can move fast enough. Krelvorn looked at the concerned faces around him. He made a quick decision. Then I will come to you and help you to the airlock. This wasn't part of the plan. Captain Mitchell stepped forward. That's too risky. If you don't make it back in time, then we both die. Krelvorn finished. But if I do nothing, your crew member dies with certainty. The logical choice is clear. The humans exchanged glances. Krelvorn was using their own values of not leaving anyone behind, but applying Zoraxian logic to it. All right, Captain Mitchell finally agreed. But we're sending Peterson with you as far as the airlock. He'll help bring Kelly back. 30 minutes later, Krelvorn and Security Chief Peterson stood in the Horizon's airlock. The plan was for them to use specialized magnetic boots to cross the short distance to the scout ship. Remember, Engineer Coleman said through their helmet comms, once the shield activates, the nebula's energy will be temporarily blocked. That gives you exactly 3 minutes to get Kelly and return. Understood, Krelvorn replied. Ready? Peterson asked. Krelvorn nodded. The airlock opened to the void of space. The nebula swirled around them, more violent than before. Purple and green energy discharges flashed between the two ships. Krelvorn and Peterson activated their magnetic boots and began the careful journey across to the scout vessel. Inside the bridge of the Horizon, the crew watched anxiously on the monitors. Vital signs stable, Dr. Wright reported, watching. The medical readouts from their suits. They've reached the scout ship, Communications Officer Harrison announced. On the small scout vessel, Krelvorn made his way to the control panel. The ship was cold now, with emergency lighting casting eerie shadows. Peterson waited at the airlock. Kelly is in the main cabin. Krellvorn reported. I see him. Engineer Kelly was slumped in a corner, his oxygen tank nearly depleted. He looked up weakly as Krellvorn approached. You came back, Kelly said, his voice faint through the comm. Didn't expect that. Humans have taught me something about not leaving others behind, Krellvorn replied. He helped Kelly to his feet. We must move quickly. I need to activate the shield, then we will have 3 minutes to return to the horizon. Kelly nodded weakly. Krellvorn guided him toward the airlock where Peterson waited, then returned to the control panel. His four-fingered hands moved across the familiar controls, inputting a complex sequence. Shield protocol activated, Krellvorn announced. 3 minutes starting now. The effect was immediate. The violent energy flashes outside the viewport calmed as an invisible barrier pushed back the nebula's forces. Krellvorn hurried to the airlock where Peterson was already helping Kelly. Let's move, Peterson urged. Together they began the journey back to the horizon. Kelly was barely conscious, requiring both Peterson and Krellvorn to support him. There, progress was slow. Too slow. 2 minutes remaining, Engineer Coleman's voice warned over the comm. They were only halfway across. Kelly's suit had snagged on a piece of debris, forcing them to stop. We won't make it at this pace, Peterson said, his voice tense. Krellvorn made another quick calculation. Take Kelly ahead. I will free his suit and follow. We don't leave anyone behind, Peterson insisted. If you do not take him now, we all fail, Krellvorn replied, using human logic against them again. Go. Reluctantly, Peterson took Kelly and moved ahead faster. Krellvorn worked to free the snag material. 1 minute remaining, came Coleman's warning. Krellvorn freed the suit and started moving, but he was now well behind the others. He watched as Peterson and Kelly reached the Horizon's airlock. They were safe. 30 seconds, Krellvorn, Captain Mitchell's voice now. Hurry! Krellvorn pushed himself harder, moving as fast as his magnetic boots would allow. The Horizon's airlock seemed both impossibly close and impossibly far. 15 seconds. He could see faces watching from the Horizon's viewport. Concerned human faces. Concerned for him, an alien they barely knew. 10 seconds. The airlock was just meters away now. Krellvorn reached out his four-fingered hand as Peterson extended his from the airlock. 5 seconds. Their hands connected. Peterson pulled hard, yanking Krellvorn the final distance into the airlock just as the shield failed. A wave of nebula energy washed over the ships, but the airlock door sealed shut in time. Inside the airlock, Krellvorn collapsed to his knees, exhausted but alive. Kelly was already being tended to by medical staff. Peterson removed his helmet, his face showing an expression Krellvorn now recognized as relief. You made it, Peterson said. That was too close. Yes, Krellvorn agreed, removing his own helmet. It was inefficient. Peterson looked confused for a moment, then saw what might have been the Zoraxian equivalent of a smile on Krellvorn's face. Inefficient, Peterson repeated with a laugh. But worth it. Yes, Krellvorn said, surprising himself with the realization. Worth it. Later, in the ship's medical bay, Krellvorn watched as Dr. Wright treated Engineer Kelly. Captain Mitchell stood beside him. Kelly will make a full recovery thanks to you, she said. You risked your life for one of our crew. I am beginning to understand your species better, Krellvorn replied. Your value system is different from ours, but it has merit. How so? Krellvorn considered his words carefully. Zoraxians believe individual sacrifice for the greater good is logical, but we rarely consider risking ourselves for others. Yet when your crew does this, it creates a stronger whole. You support each other even at personal risk. It creates a different kind of efficiency, one based on mutual survival rather than calculated loss. Captain Mitchell smiled. That's a profound observation. I have much to learn from humans, Krellvorn admitted. And perhaps my people have something to learn as well. 3 days after the rescue mission, the USS Horizon remained trapped in the nebula. The energy levels had stabilized but were still too high for safe travel. Krellvorn's scout ship had been fully detached. and they had watched it drift away, into the colorful gases too damaged to salvage. In the ship's science lab, Krellvorn worked alongside Dan Morgan and engineer Coleman. They had been analyzing the nebula's energy patterns using both Zoraxian and human methods. The combination of their technologies had yielded new insights. "Look at this pattern," Krellvorn said, pointing to a display. "The energy pulses follow a regular cycle. If we time our movement with this cycle, we could navigate through the lower energy periods. But even during the low points, the energy is still strong enough to damage our systems," Coleman pointed out. Engineer Kelly, now recovered from his ordeal, joined them in the lab. "What if we adapt Krellvorn's shield technology to our ship? Not as a permanent shield, but as a short burst of protection when we need it most?" The idea sparked immediate interest. For hours, they worked on calculations and designs. Krellvorn found himself fully engaged in the process, offering suggestions and adapting to the humans' collaborative work style. It was different from the solitary work he was used to as a scout, but he found it surprisingly satisfying. Captain Mitchell called a meeting to discuss their plan. The entire senior crew gathered around the conference table as Krellvorn and engineer Coleman presented their idea. "By combining Zoraxian shield technology with our engines, we believe we can create a series of short energy bursts," Coleman explained. "Each burst would temporarily push back the nebula's effects, allowing us to move forward in short jumps." "Like a swimmer coming up for air between dives," Jake Harrison suggested. "Exactly," Krellvorn agreed, using the human analogy. "We time each breath with the nebula's natural cycle." "What are the risks?" Captain Mitchell asked. "The main risk is timing," Coleman admitted. "If we miscalculate even by a few seconds, we could be exposed to the full force of the nebula's energy." "And our chances of success?" Krellvorn answered in the Zoraxian way. "Based on our calculations, approximately 67.3% chance of complete success, 22.5% chance of partial success with damage to non-essential systems, 10.2% chance of significant damage requiring assistance, and a small chance of catastrophic failure," Coleman finished, using the human way of summarizing. The room was quiet as everyone considered the odds. In Zoraxian terms, these were acceptable risks. Krellvorn watched the humans' faces, curious about their reaction. "We need to try," Kelly said firmly. "We can't stay here indefinitely." One by one, the other officers nodded in agreement. Captain Mitchell looked at each of them, then at Krellvorn. "Let's do it," she decided. "How long will it take to implement?" "With everyone working together, about 12 hours, Coleman estimated. "Then let's get started." The next 12 hours were a flurry of activity. Krellvorn worked alongside the HFY engineering team, showing them how to adapt Zoraxian technology to human systems. What surprised him most was not just the humans' ingenuity, but their spirit while working. They told jokes, shared stories, and encouraged each other during difficult moments. When the modifications were complete, the entire crew prepared for the attempt. Krellvorn was invited to the bridge, given a seat at the science station alongside Dan Morgan. "All stations report ready, Captain," Jake Harrison announced. "Engineer Coleman, status of the shield modifications?" "Online and functioning, Captain. We have enough power for 6 bursts, which should be enough to clear the nebula if our calculations are correct." Captain Mitchell looked at Krellvorn. "Any final adjustments?" "No. Your crew has performed the modifications perfectly," Krellvorn replied and meant it. He had never seen such adaptive efficiency before. "Then let's go home," the captain said. "Initiate the first shield burst in 30 seconds. Helm, be ready to move on my mark." The bridge crew worked with calm precision as the seconds counted. Down, Krellvorn monitored the nebula's energy patterns, ready to call out any unexpected changes. "Shield burst in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate." A blue glow surrounded the ship as the modified shield pushed back the nebula's energy. The view screen showed a temporary clear path ahead. "Now," Captain Mitchell ordered. The ship surged forward, traveling several kilometers before the shield failed. The nebula's energy closed in around them again, but they had made progress. "First jump successful," Coleman reported. "Shield recharging for the next burst, 30 seconds. They repeated the process 5 more times. Each jump brought them closer, to the edge of the nebula. By the sixth and final burst, they could see stars beyond the colorful gases. Last shield burst in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate. The ship made its final push. For a moment, it seemed they might not have enough momentum to break free. The shield began to flicker as it reached its limit. "More power to engines," Captain Mitchell ordered. The ship strained forward, and then suddenly they were through. The nebula was behind them, and clear space lay ahead. A cheer erupted on the bridge. Krell Vorn felt something unfamiliar, a sense of shared accomplishment, of being part of something larger than himself. The humans were patting each other on the back, shaking hands and smiling. Security Chief Peterson even clapped Krell Vorn on the shoulder, including him in the celebration. Later, as the Horizon set course for the nearest starbase, Captain Mitchell found Krell Vorn in the observation lounge looking out at the stars. "What will you do now?" she asked. "The starbase can arrange transport back to Zoraxian territory." Krell Vorn considered this. "I should return to report my findings." But, she prompted when he paused. "I am uncertain how to explain what I have learned here. Not about the nebula, but about humans. About different ways of thinking and working together." Captain Mitchell sat beside him. "Your experience might be valuable to both our peoples. We've never had contact with Zoraxians before. My superiors may not see the value in what I have learned," Krell Vorn admitted. "They will focus on the technical data, the star charts, the nebula composition. They might consider my other observations inefficient." "Then maybe you should be the one to show them otherwise," Captain Mitchell suggested. "Cultural exchange officers are valuable in their own way." Krell Vorn turned to her, intrigued by the idea. "You would allow me to remain with humans longer? To learn more? If that's what you want, we could certainly arrange it. Starfleet is always interested in peaceful contact with new species." For the first time, Krell Vorn faced a choice based not on pure logic or efficiency, but on personal preference. What did he want? The concept was almost alien to him, yet he found he did have a preference. "I would like to learn more," he said finally, "and perhaps teach as well. There may be efficiency in our peoples understanding each other better." Captain Mitchell smiled. "I think so too." As the Horizon continued its journey, Krell Vorn made a final entry in his log. "Scout Krell Vorn, final report on human contact. These beings value individual life in ways Zoraxians have never considered. They risk themselves for others without calculation of personal gain. I once thought this inefficient. I now believe it may be the greatest efficiency of all, the strength of the whole made stronger by protecting each part. I will remain with them longer to study this phenomenon. It may be that when I was stranded alone in deep space, I found not just rescuers but a new path for myself and perhaps for the Zoraxian people.